In the shed today, and the lads are going to have a crack at some TIG welding.
So we're going to start with these settings. In this one, we've got a bit of gas pre-flow, which is 0.2 of a second. And then we're going to go starting amps, which is 10. That's just going to get us started on the welding. And I've also got an upslope set on this at half a second. And then our actual welding amps, we're going to start on 47 and go from there.
Once you've got your TIG welder set up, it's really important to make sure that the gas is on and that the bench is earthed. This TIG welder actually uses a pedal, so we've got that set up, and of course we've got our gloves and our helmet. We also need something to weld. The boys are actually working towards making their own exhaust system, so we cut out some rings from some exhaust pipe, and that's what they're practicing on today.
So what you're trying to achieve when you're TIG welding, you've got your tungsten here, and the amount that it sticks out is really important, right? Because we're going to have a cone of gas coming out, and you need that tungsten within the cone of gas. So that measurement there, it's normally about 10 millimeters. That's important, okay? So then you got gas coverage all over your tungsten. And then what you're trying to do is the electricity is going to come down the tungsten like this and basically create a nice little cone of heat. And that's going to start a pool of weld. Now this pool is really important because that's the molten metal. So don't look at your tungsten, don't look at anything else. What you want to focus on is that pool, right? And what you want to do is you want to push the pool along, push this bit of metal, this molten metal along, and start creating a weld. Now what's important is if you go too fast, your pool's going to get really skinny. And if you go too slow, the pool's going to get really big like this, and you'll actually blow a hole in the material. So it's all about carrying the right amount of speed with the tungsten at the right amount. Now the other important part with TIG welding is the distance that you have the tungsten to the piece that you're working on. And this is probably the hardest part of TIG welding. You need to keep that at about 1 millimeter. But you can't touch the tungsten to the workload, because if you do that, you mess up the tungsten, and then you have to go and sharpen it and clean it again.
Messed up. Why are you filming me? Everyone else did it more.
Ah, you got stuck.
Oh, that looks great actually. No imperfections on that baby, I don't think.
Because what happens is if you get a little bit of junk on the tungsten and it goes like this, you no longer have a nice clean cone. The cone of heat's going to come out like this, and you'll have a lot less control over your weld.
It's like you're writing a pencil. That's good. Nice. Today, Junior! The best part of welding, you have to be comfortable.
That's true. So to sharpen the tungsten, you need to unscrew that bit there.
Oh, it disappeared!
Tap it.
Oh, there we go. I thought it disappeared.
Alright, so when you're sharpening the tungsten, you don't want to go too dull like that, and you don't want to go too sharp like that. The reason that you got to get that just right is the electricity travels along the outside of the tungsten and then follows the sharpness, right? So you'll end up with a really wide cone on that one. On this one, you end up with a really concentrated cone that's going to melt through.
Very concentrated.
So what you're aiming for, nice sharp point, roughly that profile. You don't want to go on the side like this. You want to actually face it up. Not the bad. I wouldn't go any sharper than that, but that's still pretty good. So yeah, when it goes back in, it needs to be sticking out about 10 mil.
Oh, that's too much.
No, that's all right. Now that just means that this is all going to stay within the gas. He's going to turn the pedal just a little bit so they can see where he is with the welder. And when he's in exactly the right spot, he's going to go full pedal to do a nice little tack, and then off, and then wait for the gas to stop. How'd you go?
No, that's actually not bad.
Oh, looks tack to me.
Wow, that looks good. Freaking Ivy.
You got two hands, right? We're not doing any filler rod yet, so you got two hands. Use your two hands. You want to hold it here like this. Same thing. Once you're at full pedal, you just push the pool of metal along, right? You push it, you push it. So to do that, you don't want to come straight in at an angle. You want to lean over just a little bit. And that means you can push the pool along, and you just want to watch the pool. And you will see it. If you slow down, it will start to get wider. And if you're going too fast, it'll get too skinny. You want to pick a width and just move it along at the same rate, right? So you get started in the right spot, give you full pedal, full amps, and then you just start pushing that pool along, and you want to try and keep a nice steady movement like this, right? And then when you get to the end, back the pedal off and wait for the gas to stop, and then you take your lens away.
So the hardest thing with TIG welding is keeping that tungsten out of the pool as you're trying to push it along. It's actually really easy to dip it in and get it stuck, as the lads have been finding out today. It's just all comes down to practice. You always need a little bit of angle on your torch as you're pushing the pool along, but in this case, what we're welding is round. So we need to make sure that that angle actually stays with the round piece and we don't keep it the same. That way the pool of weld is nice and even.
That's good, man. It's all about keeping the width of that pool and just pushing it along. You can see you've kept the width of it really nice and moved it along nicely for a nice even weld.
TIG welding is not an easy skill to learn, and if you want to get good, it all just comes down to torch time. The more time you can spend welding, the better you're going to get. So get out there and just give it a crack.
Tip to remember, focus on the pool, and you want to push the pool along and keep the width of that pool the same amount the whole time.